Transition awareness breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition awareness breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Wait a minute. Is that true? Where did that come from? I mean, I've said that when I was little. Wait, stop the music. Let's see. Where did this come from? We're here today talking about compassion. And we're going to talk about words that we tell ourselves. Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha. I feel like we're going to do a bit of a time travel. But before we begin our adventure, I would like to thank Web Talk Radio for giving me a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to you. And I'd like to thank my producers, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast available to you wherever you are at. Let's get started. Okay. In 1830, the sticks and stones adage first appeared by a book written by Alexander William Kingsley. Then it appeared in 1862 in the Christian Recorder, a publication of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. They considered it an old adage. Now look at the dates. It first appeared in London in 1830. It appeared, the earliest was in 1862. What was going on during the time here in America in 1860? Well, here's time travel. Slavery began around 1619. It ended in 1865. It's no wonder that the people during that time, the slaves who had to keep silent, they had to have something to keep themselves from avoiding getting injured and harmed. So this adage, this idiom, was said. It was like a means for survival. It was terrible times. We all know that part of our history. And yet, they wanted to remain calm. In later years, it was an idiom to defend against name-calling and verbal bullying. At the same time, it was meant to increase resiliency and to avoid physical retaliation. This is 2020. Remember I said that there's 7 generations living at this time? We have to know that we have to let go of things that maybe this was adaptable for then, but it is not now. Now, I think in anybody's definition or anybody's history book, sticks and stones hurts, and words are damaging. Verbal abuse. It can cause a lifetime of injury. Remember, we're talking about compassion. And we're going to talk about this because it may be a little vulnerable for us. It may be a little bit hurtful, but we're going to move slow. And I'm going to encourage you, again, this is for us to learn. We're going to use our breathing, and at any time you feel that you need to talk to someone, if you have things that's a little bit too full for you, seek and call for professional counseling or help. There is someone that's specially trained that could talk to you and help you move through this vulnerable time. What we're going to talk about are the tools to help build self-compassion within ourselves. Because when we want to show compassion to others, we've got to know what it feels like ourselves. And we have to be able to talk compassionately to ourselves. And a part of that is our self-talk. I wonder if you were aware that when someone is a verbal abuser, that they are subconsciously trying to protect themselves from self-hatred. It's not about you or a person who's being bullied. It's about that person is trying to protect themselves because they actually really don't feel positive about themselves. Too often, people, teenagers, are victims of verbal abuse, bullying, and this occurs in different professions. And many times, what happens is that the person that is being bullied or verbally abused results to silence, numbing their feelings against the pain. And that's why the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's why that's not true. Because words are words, but words have a very big, strong impact. The thing we must realize is that what is being said about us is not true. You have to look at it from a multidimensional perspective, that what they are saying is not representing the person who we are. So we have to reject their viewpoint. And that's the first step, is realizing what they're saying is not representing you. I think many of us have been put in a situation where someone has said something hurtful. And it really takes a lot to step into yourself and realize they're not talking about me. I mean, they may be saying that about me, but they're not talking about me. And realize that that part, that positive part of knowing who you are, helps you to develop a positive self-talk. I remember I was working on a ward. I'll share my one nursing story. And I wasn't a very experienced nurse on this ward, but they put me in charge because, the Navy, they are about teaching and growing leaders. And it was I've been in for a while, and it was my turn to grow. It was okay, it was good. But I was in a situation where we were, my team, we had to ask one of the patients to follow a certain instruction. And this patient was much larger than me, higher ranking than me. And when I caught myself requesting this person to move to a certain part of the ward, he, in my face, politely called me a yellow-spined whatever. I mean, he was pretty creative with his words. And I thought, he's not talking about me. Is he talking about me? And so I think when I had to step back and I had to take a different perspective and help him understand that, that we had to help him, and we were going to help him one way, in guiding him. I had to realize that this person, that's the reason why he's in the hospital, right? So when we're faced with sometimes with someone who is saying something that is not true, you have to realize that's not me. You're saying that, but that's not me. And so you look and you say that person has pain, or that person has something going on with them. And then the next step is you talk to someone. You experience something like that. It could be pretty traumatic. It could take your breath away. Talk to someone who you trust, a teacher, a family member, a spiritual advisor, someone that's in your social circle that you trust, because it's very important to talk about these things. Take a breath and let it go. You heard maybe sometimes you can have a great day, you can do 10 things positive, but one thing negative pops up, and what do you talk about? The one thing that's negative. Let that negative go. Emphasize the positive. As parents, I think it's important to emphasize that when we're trying to help our children grow, that many times, sometimes how we're coming across can be a little bit harsh in the criticism. And so we have to really listen to ourselves and kind of focus in and separate the behavior that you're trying to guide your child in, and help them realize that you're trying to help them and guiding them to a improved way, or a second way of looking at a certain situation, and praise the child's personality. Separate the behavior from the personality. They may be a very warm-hearted person or children, but their behavior may be impulsive, rambunctious. And so, we want to be careful and about saying, we don't want to say, every time I leave the room for 2 seconds, you trash everything. Now I have to spend 60 hours and clean up everything. That's an exaggeration. But sometimes where our frustration builds up so much, and there may be other things that's going on in our lives, and it just comes out and it's too much. So we have to separate the behavior from the personality. And that way, not only are we building on a positive self-talk to our children, we're also helping ourselves find the positiveness in the situation. And sometimes when we separate the behavior from the personality, sometimes we'll find that the behavior wasn't as big as a deal that we thought it was. And if it was, we need to take a break. We need to take the break. We need to take time out, take a breath, take a couple of breaths, walk away, take a breath, and then come back. Because you don't want the message to get missed. You want to be compassionate to yourself. And that's what this is all about, building compassion. And we're just at the beginning of our talk and using transition awareness breathing. This is all part of it, being aware of ourselves. The other thing that we want to work on, in addition to self-compassion, is appreciation. Appreciating yourself, your health, appreciating those around you, your friends, your family, your social bubble, the people who you're close to, and then build on relaxation. Going out and smelling the roses, so to speak, really expressing yourselves in words to those who you care about, and expressing the words how you feel to those who you care about. And it's kind of rough at first if you're not used to it. Sometimes we get so busy and we're pulled 4 or 5 different ways, and then we have only a certain amount of time, so we think that we're saying everything, but sometimes we leave out chunks of information. In my leadership classes that I used to teach when I was in the military, one thing that I would always teach, that maybe this might help you, is if you're talking to your boss, how would you clean your thinking and your words up? And so, do we give our bosses more respect and more of a compassionate demeanor than we do with our family? Sometimes I think our fatigue from our work, the stress that's going on, it depletes us, and sometimes we give our family what's left over. That's just something we just have to work at. It's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just that something that we realize is that awareness. That's that awareness part of the transition awareness breathing. And once you're aware of it, then you can make it better, improve. When we're trying to improve and we're aware of what's going on, we can even build in different rewards for our behavior. A reward is something that we're going to do to improve that's the way our brains interpret rewards. It interprets rewards as improving our well-being, or it encourages us to try to repeat whatever we're doing for a positive experience. That's how our brain is interpreting this reward system. And you can even find it when you do reward systems with your children. Once you start rewarding them for a behavior, they will repeat the behavior. In reference to Pathways to Success, a comprehensive guide to thriving with ADHD by Rabbi Leonard, look, he says, you want to reward with the carrot and not the stick. So let's work on that this week. Let's work on reflecting and knowing what we're saying, building on positive words, separating the behavior from personality and realize that, yes, words do hurt, but we have something that we can do about it. We can realize that when someone says something negative or hurtful, that's not us. They're not talking about us. And maybe if they are trying to say something that is true, you always have the option of maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe they're not ready for it because of the situation. And so sometimes it's just best to talk to someone, like I said, a friend, a parent, someone who you're close to. Put some distance and some breathing, time to relax and time to get your thinking back. Those are very important. Next week, I look forward to talking to you a little bit more about how to build more rewards in our compassion toolbox. And then we can share compassion to people outside of our social bubble. As we end our time travel, so to speak, I wanted to share with you some of the resources that I used. Training your brain to adopt healthful habits, mastering the 5 brain challenges, 3rd edition 2019 by Drs. Trafton, Dr. Gordon, and Dr. Marisa, as well as the definitions regarding the sticks and stones idiom came from the Google source on Wikipedia. You can search that. And also, as I mentioned, Rabbi Leonard's Pathways to Success, a comprehensive guide to thriving with ADHD. I like to share those resources with you so that you can check out these resources for more detailed information. Thank you for joining me. Have a great week.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.